Do you ever wish your day wasn't dictated by your health? Are you tired of being tired all the time, or is pain holding you back from enjoying your time with your family? Would you like to manage your symptoms holistically, but you just don't know where to begin? I am so excited you're here. This podcast will help you understand how natural remedies work so you can relieve your symptoms and live a fuller life. My name is Penny. I'm an occupational therapist, past pharmaceutical rep, mom, and wife with a strong faith. And for 25 years, I battled through debilitating Crohn's disease. I took all the medicine and did all the surgeries that stole so much of my time with my family, but never truly healed me. I finally realized if I was going to survive this disease, I needed to open my stubborn eyes to alternative solutions. I researched how perfectly our bodies work with plants and a lifestyle that made my health less of a burden to my family and aligned so beautifully with my faith and my medical training. If you're ready to reclaim your life with holistic options that are easy to implement as a busy mom and provide relief that lasts, this is the podcast for you. Welcome back. Episode 7 of Becoming Natural, and this is Penny. This week we are here to discuss the trusted CBD oil, how to know how to find affordable products that achieve amazing results. There are so many questionable CBD products out there, so this is a continuation of episode 6 from what CBD oil is, and then once you know what it is and how it works, how do you find a quality product and know that what is in that bottle is what you want to be going into your body. So thank you so much for coming back. I apologize for missing last week as we had a family emergency that pulled us away from home to spend time with our family. But before we jumped into this week, I just want to say thank you to each of the people out there listening to me ramble on, as I've received several sweet, sweet messages that are not from my mom and they're not from my husband. They're from people that I don't know that I hope to get to know. And you have no idea how much that means to me. Doing this podcast has been more of just kind of following the Lord's leading, saying yes to stuff that's really uncomfortable for me and putting me outside of my comfort zone. But I am very passionate, of course, about helping people through Crohn's disease, any disease or illness, finding your way through faith and the dark hours, and just how I coped with my illness and how I got through it all. So hearing from you is just an incredible compliment to me, and I thank you to those of you who have reached out. I hope that you would continue to feel comfortable reaching out to me. So I have a new little podcast room I'm pretty excited about, so I'm still kind of refining that, and I hope the audio turns out well, but let's get into it. So as a quick review, episode 5, I went into detail about how and why essential oils work in our bodies, which led to episode 6 because I was speaking directly to CBD oil and how it is the essential oil of the hemp plant. There are significant differences between CBD oil with anywhere from no THC up to 0.3% THC, which is a minuscule amount, and then actual marijuana, which is anything over 0.3% THC. So let's talk about that really quick. I get lots of questions about this, but the Farm Bill that was passed in December of 2018 federally approved the use of CBD oil up to 0.3% THC. This ratio of CBD to THC is non-psychoactive, meaning no perceptual or cognitive changes or feeling of any high when the percentage of THC increases to over 0.3%, it is now considered marijuana and could cause cognitive changes. So it is very easy for people who don't understand, which was me, to confuse CBD oil that is federally legal and non-psychoactive, which is the position that I speak from, and CBD oil that is considered marijuana and varies by degrees of legality in every single state. It's so confusing, from illegal to medically legal to completely legal recreationally. So every state has different laws, but federally legal, which trumps state laws, it is legal to have a CBD product up to 0.3% of THC in that product. Clarifying, you can have CBD oil that is hemp-based, and you can have CBD oil that is marijuana. So 2 very different products with 2 very different legal situations. So I like to speak to the benefits of CBD oil for healing of our bodies. But it's really important to understand that cannabis is an incredibly versatile plant. It was criminalized in the late 40s and early 50s, not just for its therapeutic and medicinal benefits, which I love to talk about, but because hemp was growing in popularity for its fast growth and use for paper and plastic products, among others like rope and textiles. The powers that be in the lumber and oil industries use their political prowess to stifle the use of hemp simply out of greed. That's all there is to it, really. Hemp paper doesn't yellow or age like our paper from lumber, and hemp is capable of regrowing to a paper-ready plant in a matter of months versus 80 years for a tree to grow to be paper-ready. A bottle that is made from hemp can break down in 6 months versus the average plastic bottle from petroleum takes 450 years to decompose, y'all. That is unbelievable. It's actually quite shocking to me for those who are environmentally aware to not embrace hemp for industrial use. Because of the money to be made in the lumber and petroleum alone, there was a large campaign to inject fear into the United States population by beginning just to call cannabis, which is how it was always known, marijuana. That was a new name for it in that time. And they linked that name marijuana to magic and voodoo from the Mexican witch culture. Add to that the profits to be made from the growing pharmaceutical industry when multiple pills could be prescribed for conditions that could just use CBD oil to treat multiple symptoms at once, whereas different pills and pharmaceuticals, they can make more money by prescribing multiple pills. I am sure that you're getting the picture. The entirety of the criminalization of hemp progressing to being called marijuana to give it a Mexican slant to inject fear was based completely on greed. So from it being the safest pain relief on the planet as medicinal use to decomposing faster than any plastic product we produce, regrowth is incredibly fast, and it would save cutting down thousands upon thousands of trees if we embraced it simply for paper use. There are amazing benefits to hemp, and I'm about to explain a few more to you as well. So I left off last week with the desire to explain to you how to select the best hemp-based product on the market and how you know what you're getting is what the bottle says it is. I could tell you, here, this is what I take, this is the best I found, but you wouldn't understand it. And I'm all about teaching. So yes, I think what I take is some of the best on the market, but I want you to understand why. And I want you to be able to look at your product and see why it is good or why it is not so good, because it is truly the Wild West in an unregulated market. Many products are mislabeled with too much or too little CBD or THC, putting customers at risk for failing drug tests, or it may be labeled as a hemp product and there is no hemp in there at all. Of course, I have found what I think is to be the best and the safest, most effective CBD product I could find that checks all the boxes. But I really want to educate you, the consumer, to look for the things that we don't know to look for, what I did not know to look for when I started taking CBD. In most cases, I encourage people to finish up what they've taken. You've paid for it. And if you're not married to that product, then come try the product that I have. Most people have no idea how good it can work until they purchase a quality product. And many of my friends that tried it were like, wow, I had no idea it could work this well. Or, oh my gosh, mine tasted like gasoline. This tastes amazing. So there is a dramatic difference in a quality product, and it's been proven time and time again. But the big joke in our little industry is that you can sell sushi at a gas station, but would you really eat sushi from a gas station? So there's some things you just want to pay for good or top quality ingredients in order to know that you're getting a top quality, top shelf product. So here are 7 points I'd like to cover in order to properly educate anyone on reading the label of a CBD product. I also always like to ask to see the front of the product when someone asks me about a brand, so I can look up the company and I can look up the ingredient list, and I always go online. A lot of information can be gleaned from the ingredient list that isn't always the full truth, by the way, and the company website. Here's a quick word about the hemp wellness products that I use and trust with my family that are USDA organic and safe for all ages. One of the most significant additions to my daily routine was a clean, safe, USDA organic, high-quality CBD oil. Please know, not all CBD is the same. This family-owned company in North Carolina changed my life, allowing me to get off opiates and live life without pain from surgeries, creaky joints after workouts, or gardening. It's a mind-blowing natural step to decrease discomfort, improve mood, help with sleep, prevent or slow future age-related annoyances, and many other benefits. You can check out my website at pennysampler.com, which includes $10 off your first order. To be clear, having Crohn's, I've never smoked, I don't drink alcohol, or ever been high. This is a reputable option that I'm incredibly passionate about sharing. If you would like personal assistance with selecting the products, please fill out the simple health assessment quiz in the show notes, and I will be in touch with you as soon as possible. And now, let's get back to the podcast. Number 1, you want to make sure that your product has a certificate of analysis. This is a third-party test that details everything that has been tested in that bottle. Take note that I said in that bottle. That means that you want batch testing. Batch testing means that it tests every single batch that is produced. I can't tell you how many websites post a COA or certificate of analysis, and I look at the date and it's 3 years old. Either they were really proud of that COA, they don't keep up with their website, or they simply just don't sell enough CBD for it to turn over enough to have a fresh COA. Our products go so far as to have a QR code on every single bottle. You look at the QR code is specific to that bottle, that batch. You can even see that the date it was harvested and tested. One time I had a bottle that was tested merely a week before I received it. So it was that fresh. Our QR codes can trace our products down to the exact row in North Carolina where it was grown. So while we would never put anything on the market if it was poor quality, if there was something concerning about a specific batch, our farmers can go to the exact row that product was grown on and check for potential issues, whatever it may be. So the COA will tell you everything it was tested for, even if it was a 0 for heavy metals and pesticides, which I sure hope it was. But you do want to have the confidence to know that it was tested for that. Number 2, you want to make sure that your product was grown in clean soil. You know this by looking for the USDA organic seal on the product. There will be websites that will say, grown organically. This is simply a marketing term until it says USDA organic and that seal is on the product. It takes 10 years for a product to be approved for the seal because it takes 10 years minimum for all heavy metals and fertilizers at a minimum to be completely cleaned from the soil. So our farms were previously used as organic sweet potato farms, so our soil has been clean for generations. The reason that this is so important is that hemp is responsible for what's called phytoremediation. This means it naturally cleans the soil by pulling out toxins from the polluted soil with its roots, and the roots grow up to 3 feet deep to reach deep into the soils. It absorbs naturally heavy metals like lead and nickel and man-made pollutants like fertilizers and pesticides. And for this reason, farmers love hemp. They plant it between crops, much like farmers use peanuts to cleanse the soil. The Chinese plant hemp plants by their industrial parks to clean their air. But if it's cleaning and absorbing all that junk in the soil and in the air, where is all the junk going? It's going into the plant. So in China's case, it's picked, extracted, put in barrels, shipped off to the United States for us to go to the gas stations and strip malls to purchase CBD as a homeopathic remedy. That isn't homeopathic at all. It's actually making you worse because you are in turn ingesting all those heavy metals and pesticides and fertilizers that it drew out of the ground and all the nasty pollutants in the air. So that's crazy, right? I promised you that Russia would come into play in this episode and I would never disappoint you. But hemp has also been used as one of the most, if not the most successful ways to remove the nuclear fallout from the Chernobyl explosion. Isn't that crazy? But they love hemp because it's doing such a great job at removing all the nasty stuff from that fallout in Chernobyl. So Slavik Dushenkov, a research scientist with Phytotech, is one of the organizations behind the hemp planting, stated, hemp is proving to be one of the best phytoremediative plants that we have ever been able to find. While it has been proven that certain strains of plants still test very high in heavy metals and contaminants in that area, there are some hemp plants grown there that are used for industrial textile purchases, meaning they use those hemp plants already for using it for material or for rope. To me, that's a little bit alarming that we have no idea what the protocol is for disposing of the radioactive hemp, or if the high levels of metal in the textiles cause harm when used as clothing because it's on your body all the time. Personally, I would steer clear of Russian grown hemp, but there are places, even in the United States, that require soil remediation. So it is vital that you know, no matter if it's in Russia or China or the United States, you must know where your hemp is grown and what the status of the soil is. USDA organic is one of the best ways to feel good about what you're consuming. That seal is the best way to know. Foreign countries are sneaky, and they might say bottled in the USA, when in fact it came over on a boat in a huge vat from China, and yes, then it was put into a bottle in the United States. But I'll attach a link in the show notes that tells you all that information about that Chernobyl using hemp for remediation. Number 3, you want to make sure that your CBD oil is extracted with carbon dioxide. This isn't always obvious on a bottle, but you should be able to find out by looking at the company website. It's not the cheapest form of extraction, but cheaper forms use solvents such as ethanol and butane, and there is no way that that residue from those extractions is not left behind in part of the oil. In fact, I have many patients, customers tell me that their CBD tastes like gasoline. This is why they're getting that residue off the ethanol and the butane. They are tasting the residue in the much faster and much cheaper solvents. That is why when you do carbon dioxide, there is no solvent that is in there to taste. So once again, why choose CBD for a healthy alternative if you are still ingesting chemicals like butane or ethanol? Number 4, you want to make sure that your CBD comes from the hemp flower as opposed to stems and stalks or aerial parts. If you've ever seen a hemp plant ready for harvest, it looks like it is coated with sugar. It's succulent looking, but the most concentrated and luscious CBD oil is found in the flowers of the plant, and that's what you see when it's ready for harvest. As you make your way down the plant through the stems and the stalks, the further down you go, there is less concentrated CBD. It's more diluted, and you are certainly paying way too much for a diluted product if you purchase a product that says aerial parts or stems and stalks. And if you go to a big box store, they typically have in their ingredient list aerial parts or stems and stalks. So just as a little funny, the aerial parts and the stems and stalks are the leftover parts. And my mom always told me that hot dogs are made of the leftover parts. So to be exact, she would say lips, tits, and poo-poos. But that's what I would call the stems and stalks, the leftover parts. And they're not worthy of your money for therapeutic purposes, including all the way to the soil where you'll find the hemp seed. So you've got to be wary. There's so many different people that get confused with hemp seed oil or hemp extract or flower oil. Hemp seed oil is not an essential oil. So there is no therapeutic benefit to the seed oil. Maybe you can rub it on your body as lotion. Maybe you can use it for, shampoo. I don't know. But the actual oil of the seed, the molecule is way too large to be an essential oil. Therefore, it is not therapeutic when it comes to medicinal value. So our company, what I do love about them is they take all of these leftover parts that they have from taking the flower oil and the flower extract, and they use all of the unused parts to fertilize our fields, which is a fantastic use for the leftover parts of the product and of the plant. Number 5, you want to be sure that your ingredient list has MCT oil, and it needs to be organic. MCT stands for medium chain triglyceride. Because CBD is an oil needs a special form of oil or fat to absorb into our body. So an example of MCT oil is coconut oil. It can carry more CBD molecules, thus delivering more CBD to our cells for absorption. If there is any other kind of oil listed, we'll get into that later. But the best thing that you want in your product for absorption is an organic MCT oil. You also want to look at your ingredient list. This is absolutely vital and overlooked, but our CBD product has only 3 ingredients: MCT oil, hemp flower extract, and if it's flavored, it has an organic essential oil. Important to say that when you get that USDA organic seal on your bottle, That means every single thing in that bottle is USDA organic. You can't have anything in that bottle that's not organic. So when you get your bottle from us, there is no reason for anything else to be in that product. Some companies will go cheap, and instead of using MCT, they use vegetable glycerin or olive oil. But news alert, vegetable glycerin is not a vegetable, and it is a man-made chemical. It is completely synthetic. Side effects are nausea or diarrhea or upset stomach. It's not good for you at all. So some products even add fake sugars like sucralose or maltose. That's like Splenda and all the fake sugars that our bodies don't know how to break down. So you don't want any of those in your products either. So once again, defeating the complete purpose of taking something natural for a natural remedy. And most of all, you want to make sure that it actually has hemp flower extract in the product, not olive oil, not aerial parts or stems and stalks. In the same way, you don't want to eat food whose ingredients list is longer than your thumb. That's the thumb rule. There is absolutely no need for extra ingredients in your CBD oil. Finally, number 7, you want to be sure that your product is not white labeled. White labeled means that there is one farm that is cranking out CBD to anyone who wants to put their own label on a product. So I could ultimately go to a white labeled farm, sell a product, create a label called Becoming Natural CBD, and put it on a shelf. And it's in that CBD strip mall right next to Susie Sunshine CBD. And they're the exact same product from the exact same farm, touting that one of them is better than the others. But very few, if any, white labeling farms are USDA organic in the United States. So that's really what matters. The best way to investigate this is to look at the website, and it has become quite comical when I find that many of the websites of the white labeled companies have an entire page of VPs and presidents and this and that. I mean, there's like 20 people on the page. There are more employees that are probably living in a big city, working out of a high rise, that have never had their dirt and fingernails. They are investors and likely have their hands in multiple businesses and other places on other websites, and they are not committed to the love of CBD and the benefits for healing people's bodies. So look for authentic pictures of farms and the farmers. I know sometimes that's hard to find. Initially, it was very obvious when people didn't show pictures of their farms and their farmers, but for us, the farmers are the heartbeat of our entire company. And while they don't like too much attention, they definitely come to our events, and we've gotten to meet them. And they are just, without the farmers, we wouldn't be a company. They're amazing people. So if you go to pennysampler.com, you will find our amazing company that has USDA certified organic, vertically integrated. Vertically integrated means that we are in charge of the seed being planted to harvested, dried, extracted, bottled, and shipped. There are never question marks as to what goes on to that product because we are never out of control of that product. We adhere to all of the standards above. We follow good manufacturing process, which is GMP standards. We are Better Business Bureau A+ rating, and that is actually quite unheard of, especially within the CBD world. And we hold 12% of the market share of CBD nationwide, which just absolutely blows my mind, being past in pharmaceuticals, to have that kind of market share of a company that's only 5, almost 6 years old. And it's just a family company that does no advertising. It's shocking. So just a little family company. We believe in the power of the plant and passion in all of its workers. We all share the passion of healing for those who need it. Another point that I like to address with my patients is that you have to find the proper dose. So some people will say, oh, I tried CBD, it didn't work for me. I firmly believe that if you have the right product and you have the right dose, that CBD will work for every single person. You just have to be patient. So men will come in, sorry, men, I love you, men, but like a man will come in extreme pain. He's 250 pounds. And he says he needs the highest dose because his pain is severe. That's not how it works. CBD works on a bell curve, which means too much or too little won't work at all. We each have our own endocannabinoid system full of receptors, and when the receptors are full, they're full. If we don't fill them completely, then we might still have issues. If we have too much, we actually might clog the receptors, which makes it not work very well either. So many people compare it to the lights on a Christmas tree. Some are on, some are dim, some are blinking or totally out, but CBD goes in and repairs and fixes each of the damaged lights. It might take time, but the goal is to have a Christmas tree with all the lights shining bright. Depending on how long you've had an issue, it could take months. I always ask customers to give it at a minimum of 3 months. I had a customer that it took 9 months, but most people see improvements far sooner than that. It only took me a week. But look for improvement over healing. We are such a fix it and forget it society that we don't take note of improvements. We want it to be fixed immediately. Healing your body actually takes time. And when I told you about my customer, she said she didn't think CBD was working for her because she was still waking up in the night. She had sleep issues. And I asked her to clarify that how many times was she waking up when she first started CBD? And she said, oh, it's like 15 times in the night. And then I asked her, well, how many times are you waking up now? Well, I'm still waking up 2 or 3 times in the night. Well, that's a huge improvement. It was totally working. It just wasn't completely healing her yet. So you have to give it time. Don't give up until you have given your body the opportunity to truly heal. And then dosing is tricky. And it's not like a pill where the doctor says, take 2 of these and call me in 2 weeks. Your CBD dose is very specific to your body, and it can actually fluctuate. Hear me say that. It can fluctuate. We have not been taught to listen to our bodies. We have gotten away from that. But if you are too tired when you want to be awake when you want to be asleep, have diarrhea or a headache, those are typically signs that you are taking too much CBD. I actually really love it when my patients or customers get to this point because I know that we're really close to their sweet spot and we just pull back the dose just a smidge and they're right on the spot. If you find your perfect dose and then you're traveling along in life and everything's great and then you have a super stressful event happen in your life, you might need to bump up the CBD. Or maybe you have an accident. Maybe you have an injury. Your body is working overtime. So it's probably metabolizing that CBD a lot faster for the stress or for the pain. So you might need to bump it up for a little bit until you get through that stressful period of time. And then if you start noticing that there are negative side effects, maybe you're too tired or maybe you're awake too much, but you can slip back down to your original dosing after that. But just listen to your body and you can kind of go up and down based on what your needs are. When someone first starts out, I always recommend starting low and slow. And we start with 1/4 of the dropper of the oil under the tongue for 60 seconds in the morning and at night. Let it sit there and do that as long as possible because that's where the absorption takes place under the tongue. That's where all your blood vessels are. Do that for 4 to 5 days. Look for anything positive or negative. Even take a journal if that helps you. There should never be negative side effects. If you have absolutely 0 positive effects in the right direction, then increase your dose to the next little incremental line and do that for 4 or 5 more days. If you ever get to where you are using more than a full dropper of CBD a day, then it's wise, mostly financially speaking, to increase your concentration with your next order. So if you're taking 500 milligram concentration using more than 1 full dropper a day, the next order, I would purchase the 750 milligram concentration. But remember, you've gone from 500 and you're using a full dropper. You need to drop back to that 1/4 of a dropper on the 750 and work yourself up again to find what your sweet spot is. All it is a change in concentration. So you can take less of the 750 to achieve the same results of more of the 500 concentration. So since our company's inception, we have added lots of products. And really one of my least favorite questions is when people ask me, what is it that you take? Because I take everything. I love everything that we take. But that is a huge commitment. And I have slowly introduced certain things into my daily life. So some of my favorite products include, we have sleep jellies that are made with CBN. CBN is known to help people sleep. We have reduced pain cream that's actually approved by the FDA. It's made with CBG. CBG is really good for pain and it's topical. It's wonderful to keep in your sports bags, equipment, things like that. Our collagen is phenomenal. It's made with CBG that helps tremendously, not only with pain, but with gut health. And it is huge in helping to absorb the large collagen molecule. Most people taking collagen don't even absorb half of what they take because the collagen molecule, like I've explained before about essential oils, those molecules are much too big to be absorbed. So that CBG is that essential oil that helps pull the collagen through the cells, and it actually helps our collagen absorb so much better than most collagen products. We also have THC products, THC-free products, and even functional mushrooms, which are phenomenal. Maybe we'll discuss that as a separate episode another day. However, to me, the bread and butter of all things CBD is just simply start with taking CBD oil once a day. I don't want you to load up on new products. I don't want you to spend a ton of money. If you can only order one item, I would order the CBD oil and I would take it like a vitamin. I told my parents this 6 years ago when I got them taking CBD. They really didn't have anything to complain about. But guess what? They have religiously taken their CBD every day, twice a day for 6 years. And they are now 80 and 81, and they still really don't have anything to complain about. The one thing I will say is that my mom left her CBD at home one time, forgot her CBD. And after 5 or 6 days, she's like, oh my gosh, I left my CBD at home. I need my CBD because her joints were starting to hurt. Got home, got back on her CBD, and she was fine again. I echo that also for pets. A lot of people, I have a huge passion for dogs, and a lot of people are really sad when their dogs have arthritis. My 14-year-old dog is blind and deaf. Bless her heart, she has diabetes. She takes insulin shot twice a day, but her joints and her agility are that of a dog half her age. Even my vet was like, what in the world are you feeding her? It never occurred to me to tell her, oh my gosh, I'm giving her CBD. But truly, the CBD is what changes her life. I left her one time with a dog sitter, forgot to tell the dog sitter to give her CBD at night. And by the time I got home, she was definitely having a harder time with her joints. So it helps for animals in the same way that it helps with adults. And it also helps her. The reason I started it with her was because she had anxiety with fireworks and thunderstorms. And it has changed our life because when my puppy isn't happy, neither is mama because mama is up. So it's a great remedy for your dogs. Always remember there's no way that you can overdose on CBD. As I mentioned in episode 6, the portion of the brain responsible for breathing and heart beating has 0 receptors for the endocannabinoid system. I really want people to understand that. That means that our hearts will never stop beating, our lungs will never stop breathing. That is why CBD oil is the safest form of medication that you can find. Yay! I wanted to mention one last thing, that I have started a Becoming Natural community on Facebook for anyone who wants to join and help us grow a community of people who want to learn more about natural remedies, how to treat our bodies better every day. This is not a community of experts who fanatically work out or eat strict diets. Even if you are perfect, we would love for you to be there and learn from you as well. But I just really wanted to develop a community where we can ask questions of each other, share our aha moments, learn from each other new ways of becoming natural. Because one of my favorite things is connecting with people. You know, I work at a hospital and find someone that loves natural remedies like me, or having coffee with a friend and sharing things with them about how I think I can help them by telling them, you know, oh, you should take castor oil for that. Oh, you should take silver for that. All the things that I want to share on the podcast. So if you would like to join this Facebook community, that is just a community, I will leave that in the podcast notes. It's Becoming Natural on Facebook. I'm not sure how many Becoming Naturals are out there, but I will certainly leave the link so you make sure that you get in the right group. I hope you have a wonderful night, wonderful day. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed today's episode, would you take 30 seconds to leave a review and share it with a friend? It helps me help someone else, and reviews are the best way to do that. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll meet you back here for another episode next week.